يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, we start in the name of Allah the Most High, the one to whom belongs all praise, the one who controls all affairs, the one who gives, the one who takes, glorified and exalted is He. And we send peace and blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam and his family and his followers until the end of time. Ameen. There's a simple truth that is, like most simple truths, not so simple. And meaning that it's simple, but it's very, it can be hard to commit ourselves to doing anything about it. And that simple truth is that hurt people hurt people. And healthy people heal people. So usually we hear the first half of it. Maybe some people have heard the first half of it before. Hurt people hurt people. What that's basically saying is that a lot of the things that we face in life, sometimes they hurt us. So someone might have a bad relationship with their family. They might not have the best relationship with their parents or their relatives, their siblings. They might have wonderful relationships and opportunities all around, and yet something happens to them in life that hurts them in some sort of way. And that hurt that we carry with us, when it's not dealt with, it remains inside of us. And it manifests itself in different kinds of ways, in different places, all throughout our various stages of life. So for example, you might have someone who grows up and they have a decent life, everything is fine, and they look up to someone, and that person betrays them in some sort of way. We don't have to go into details of different possible scenarios. Probably people can think about possible scenarios. That person betrays them in some sort of way and hurts them in that way. There's probably going to be a scar inside of that person that relates to the issue of trust. Because they had put their trust in somebody that they thought deserved that trust, and that trust was broken. So now their relationship with this concept is going to be affected. And it's actually came up in some of our Friday night lectures over the last several months, of this idea of when you have a relationship of love with somebody and there's something that kind of puts tension in that relationship, then you have to be careful how you deal with it, because it can break your capacity to love as a whole. It can hurt the person so much that they lose their ability to love. Okay, so what happens then is that these hurt people carry around things with them and they hurt other people. So eventually this person who has this trust issue, they grow up and they get in a relationship, they get married, and they can't trust their spouse. Not because maybe their spouse is not trustworthy, maybe they are completely trustworthy, but they can't trust their spouse. And they can't trust their spouse because they never dealt with that thing inside that caused them to not be able to trust people. Okay? So this is the idea of hurt people hurt people. And I deal with a lot of young people, and now I'm moving into another position in life where I'm dealing with even more young people. And one of the biggest things that you see as a consequence over the lives of young people are their parents. And that's not like a guilt trip or a blame or like, you guys are all so bad. I haven't proved anything myself either. My son is 6 years old. I'm still young. I'm not in a position to preach on this point. It is simply to say that the relationship of the parents with the child is extremely important. The ability to connect with one another, the ability to understand each other, the ability to communicate with each other, the ability to show love, the ability to show concern, compassion, firmness at times, not just kindness but also firmness, and how all of that stuff plays out has a major impact on how the person is growing up. Okay? And if it's not there, oftentimes it hurts them. So, I started teaching really young kids this week, and it's really interesting because you see all kinds of different kids. You see kids who can't pay attention at all. You see kids that are very attentive. You see kids that are very sweet. You see kids that you're kind of worried about. Like, there's all kinds of things that you see when you're dealing with kids. And you know already, I know from the last 10 years of my community experience, I know already where all that stuff is coming from. It's coming from all their experiences, right? Just like the rest of us. So this profound truth, it says that hurt people hurt people. And then the second half of it says, but healthy people heal people. And one of the things that's important to kind of recognize in the in-between of those two truths is that hurt people can be healed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to be whole. He hasn't created us to be broken. He hasn't created us to be in eternal pain. He has created us subhanahu wa ta'ala to be whole, to be healed, to be the best that we can possibly be, to be the most amazing of all creation. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. That we created human beings in the most beautiful of configurations. The absolute most beautiful of configurations. And sometimes when we've been hurt, it's really hard for us to believe that. We had a guest speaker in our community last night. She was visiting from Lebanon. And she said something really beautiful in the post-majlis. You know, like when you go visit your friends and you have dinner and you have everything else, and then there's like, that's the one conversation. And then there's the real conversation that happens at the doorway or outside the door or in the parking lot or whatever. There was like a post-lecture lecture. And the post-lecture lecture, the auntie was saying, she pulled out her sibha, her prayer beads. She said, these are my favorite prayer beads, right? To me, these prayer beads are so important to me, and they're so beautiful and they're so wonderful and everything else. And then she said, and if you were to say, I think they're disgusting, I hate them, it's gonna bother me, right? And she said, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلِ الْأَعْلَى. And the best of examples, you know, the best, you know, this is small example. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created every single human being in the best of ways. He created you. The person who thinks that they can't do anything right, the person who thinks that they can't do anything in life, the person who thinks I always make mistakes, the person who thinks they don't have any value, whether they say it or not, they think that inside. The person who thinks all of those things, she said, you're actually not behaving right with Allah, because Allah is the one who created you. And Allah created you in the best way possible. And everything that we have in our religion is guidance to help us to be the best that we can possibly be. And that guidance falls in a number of different categories, and it helps us to rectify our situation. Because inevitably every single person will go through hurt. Allah also said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ, right? We created human beings. The other one is we created human beings in the most beautiful of forms. And the other one is we created human beings to go through trial and difficulty and hardship. And how they face that hardship and how they go through those trials is going to affect everything that they do in life. So our religion gives us guidance, for example, in terms of how we are supposed to think about the world. As I've said many, many, many times, right? How are we supposed to think about the world? The world has a creator, it has purpose, it has order, it has meaning, it has accountability, it has an end, and we will be brought back to life again. We will be accountable for our deeds. All of these things are how we look at the world, which are really important, right? Because someone who really believes that they're going to die and they're going to be held accountable, for example, if they come into the parking lot on Jum'ah and they mess up the car next to them, they're not just going to leave after Jum'ah. Right? It's not just going to be like, forget it, all right, I threw the door open and I smashed this car next to me, and yeah, that's my fault, but who cares? They're not going to look at it that way. They're going to look at it as, you know, Allah gave me this, He gave me my mind, He gave me my body, He gave me the car, I messed up someone else's car, I have a right towards them, right? This is an essential understanding of how I look at the world. That things will pass, that things will change, all of this stuff is basic aqeedah, basic belief system. The other things that Allah gives us in this guidance that He has given us subhanahu wa ta'ala is how to behave properly with other people, how to behave properly with the rights of others, how to behave properly with our own rights, how to engage with relationships and finances and relationships and all of these kind of things. It's all in the teachings as well. And then Allah also gives us the guidance that helps us to rectify ourselves. All of those actually lead to our rectification, but to really bring out the best inside of us, right? So these hurt people will hurt people, but these hurt people can also take steps slowly but surely to be healed. And when people are healed, they heal other people. When people are healthy, they heal other people. And it's not even always that they have to do like the most sophisticated or incredible things. It's not even always that they have to do anything at all. You know, one time I was visiting a teacher of mine, and I'm not always able to be in the company of this person. So sometimes as I'm going through life, things might come up and I might start making a list. Like when I see him, I'm going to ask him about this, and I'm going to ask him about this and this and this, and I might build a list over time, right? So one time I was going and I was visiting him, and I was sitting with him, and I told him, you know, Sheikh, before I came, I had this list. Like, there are all these things that I wanted to ask you about. And now that I'm sitting here with you, look at the humility of these people too. He said, now that I'm sitting here with you, I don't really feel like those questions kind of matter anymore. Like, you know, inshallah we can figure them out. I don't feel like I need to ask these things anymore. And he just looked at me and he said, you know, when I sit with my teacher, the same thing happens to me. This was his response. So what does he say? He said, like, these things that are bothering us, these things, this is a person who, as far as we know, Allahu a'lam bis-sawab, that has rectified a lot of their condition. And so just being in their company solves all these problems. You know, someone else, I heard of a sister who had been through a lot of different things at the hands of religious leadership. And she sat with one of these teachers and she started to tell him like all the things that had happened and so on. For some reason she felt comfortable to open up. And you know, at some point in the conversation, he didn't say anything, but his eye kind of like teared up a little bit. And she said, after everything that I had been through and I saw that from him, all of the pain of all those previous years went away. All of it was gone. Because did a whole lot happen there? A whole lot did happen there. But a whole lot happened there because someone took their own rectification very seriously and managed to heal themselves at some level, such that then when they're around other people, they heal them. Why am I saying all of this? One of the things that Allah tells us in the Quran, and it ties back to this whole point of the family, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Allah said, from His signs, from His beautiful signs, is that He has created for you from yourselves spouses, such that you can dwell in tranquility with one another. And He has placed between you love and mercy, and that there are signs for people who think. Allah has made the relationship of the home the central place of harm or benefit in all of human existence. You could say in all of existence, actually. Because whatever happens with human beings, it's going to affect everyone else, right? Sometimes at various times and places in history, human beings figured out how to live properly, and the world around them stayed in order. And in other times and places, human beings didn't really care to live properly, and everything around them was affected. You know, to the point that you might be late in the year and it's still really hot. And you're asking yourself, why? Is there no break in the heat, right? Human beings do that. But when they're rectified, they don't do that, right? But all of that goes back to the home. And Allah says that He created this relationship between the husband and the wife such that the home can be a place that is built on tranquility. Every single one of us knows that you absolutely cannot have a home that has tranquility unless you yourself have found some level of tranquility. You just cannot have it. And the person that you're married to, they also have to sought some level of tranquility. Yeah, you're going to still have ups and downs, and there's going to be things that happen and whatever. It's all going to be life, right? But there has to be some sort of foundation. Like in the end, I am someone who's committed to knowing God, and I am someone who's committed to following the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and I am someone who's committed to rectifying my individual condition so that when I stand before my Lord, I can tell my Lord, Allah, I did my best. I had mistakes, but I did my best. If that is the foundation, then at least there's a foundation. You're going to go through the ups and downs. Some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad, but it's never going to explode like completely out of control. You can maintain some level of sanctity and tranquility in the home. And Allah then also puts between that relationship that's built on that tranquility, love and mercy. And that love and mercy is constantly enacted every single day in the relationship. Every single conversation, every single interaction, and that's how a family is meant to be raised. Many of us probably didn't experience that, if we were to be very honest. But like I said in the beginning of the khutbah, just because we didn't experience that doesn't mean that we can't find what tranquility is, doesn't mean that we can't find what love is, that we can't find what mercy is, and learn to bring those into our families that we have now. Just because we didn't experience it in the past doesn't mean we can't experience it now and have something to do with it now. But that really is the foundation of everything. And that is the essence of the way of the Prophet ﷺ, which I will comment on in the next half of the khutbah, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. ائتنا بردت من حولنا قوة من وجدت من حولك وقوتك فلا حول ولا قوة إلا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. A couple announcements before we continue. First is Mufizur Rahman Chowdhury passed away yesterday. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him and elevate his rank and give patience and perseverance to his family. And we also have Muhammad Siddiq, who passed away, father of Muhammad Niyaz. May Allah have mercy on him and facilitate his situation. Also, on your way out, somewhere in here, there are tafsir books in Urdu. If anyone is interested, you may take one on the way out. So Bismillah. So as I was saying in the beginning, we started off with this idea that hurt people, and that healthy people heal people. And that in the middle of that, there is the impetus and the capacity and the ability of the human being to use what we have been given from divine guidance to heal ourselves as much as we can. And how that leads into then the importance of the household, and what the household does for the society, and what the household does for the individual, right? On one end of the household you have the individual, on the other end of the household you have the society, and all of them are working together, but the core that holds that thing together is the family. There's the structure of the family, the relationship of the family, the time that we spend with one another, the attention that we give one another. You know, they say that even 15 minutes of serious, undivided attention to one's child in a day can make a significant difference in their life. Do you realize how ridiculous that is when you really think about it? Like, we're talking about 15 minutes of undivided attention in a day. And at least I know from like my generation of people, we don't give 15 minutes of undivided attention to anything in a day. Not even like, I don't know, taking a shower doesn't get 15 minutes of undivided attention, right? But just that can make a difference in someone's life. So the family then becomes the institution by which everything is rectified or everything is destroyed. And in the best of scenarios, that family will heal and it will build. And in the worst of scenarios, that family will break things. And in between, there's all kinds of other places. You know, difficulties and trials and things that need to be worked on and so on and so forth. Today we have an institution here at the table, New Star Family Justice Center. And I've known about this institution for a long time, probably, I would say like 7 years, roughly known about their work and referred people to them in their different centers in LA and in Orange County. And only recently did I actually go visit one. Okay, so these family justice centers, they exist all over California. They're really interesting places. They generally bring multiple institutions together under one roof to be able to provide services to teens, women, men who are in like really tough circumstances with their families or with their personal lives and whatever it might be. So you come into this place and you have law enforcement, you have social workers, you have lawyers, you have therapists, you have everything under one roof so that you can get the stuff that you need. So finally I went to one of these in Orange County. They gave me the New Star Family Justice, the Muslim part of it is in the Orange County building for the services. So they provide to Muslim clients and stuff there. It's really beautiful, mashallah. And in the LA side now, they've received a grant that will help them, the Muslims, to build the center that will be serving all of the community. and it will be the Muslim organization that kind of like heads that center for everyone in the community, which is amazing, right? But the grant requires that they also spend money of their own, not just that they spend grant money. So the table is back there. I would encourage people to support this organization. Like I said, in my work in the community, no shortage of cases have been referred to them and have been helped by them, along with other people in the community. So please go and visit them at the table there in the back and get more information and support in any way that you can. This is part of dealing with these kind of things. We can't build actually families by ourselves. And we can't maintain families by ourselves. We do it through a community and a network of resources and opportunities, and all of that works together to create, in our modern world, that village that helps to raise that child, right? That they say that it takes a village to raise a child. So we ask Allah to give us tawfiq and to forgive us of our sins. Oh Allah, forgive us of our sins and our shortcomings, accept from us our deeds, enter us into paradise and keep us away from your punishment. Allah, we ask you to guide us in all of our affairs, to give us knowledge that benefits us and to rectify our insides and our outsides. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Allah, we ask you to give food to those who are hungry, to give shelter to those who are shelterless, to give victory to those who are oppressed, to give aid to those who are suffering. Allah, we ask you to guide us in all of our affairs. Allahumma ighfir lana ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا اللهم بارك فينا وبيننا وألف بين قلوبنا وصفوفنا اللهم كن معنا ولا تكن علينا انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان افتح عليهم فتح يا عليم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا صالحا اللهم تقبل منا واعف عنا وآتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وأقيموا الصلاة.